Let's just have it real and let's talk about the real reason why many men, not all men, but many men decide to start exercising in the first place. Because it isn't about health and fitness, it's insecurity. And to be fair, insecurity can be a powerful driver or motivator when it comes to changing your behavior. For example purposes, I only started working out because years ago my ex-girlfriend finished me. And this did an absolute number on my self-esteem. So you could say that breakup drove me to start exercising because I knew by working out and putting muscle on my frame, it would make me more physically attractive to other women. And here's the absolute irony. Once she's seen me get in shape, she was the one who was then chasing me to get back together. Ain't it funny how sometimes situations can just completely flip on its head? And the reason why I share that story with you is because you can probably relate. Every guy has had their heart broken. So let's talk more about training like an athlete. Because if you train like an athlete, you will more than likely develop your best body. And when I say your best body, I mean a body that not only looks good, but also performs very, very well. The very, very first thing you must know about training like an athlete is that it is not bodybuilding. It is not about packing on as much muscle as humanly possible. It is about, number one, building a body that is strong. Number two, building a body that is agile. And number three, building a body that is resilient. And the analogy that I like to use is that bodybuilding style training is kind of like building a Ferrari, but only putting a 1.2 litre engine inside. So on the outside, it looks aesthetically pleasing. It looks pretty. But you put that Ferrari or you put that bodybuilder in a drag race and it gets absolutely smoked. And the reason why it gets smoked is because it's got a small engine inside that car. In other words, the body's been built to look good, but not perform. Now, compare this to the guy that's trained like an athlete. The athlete is nowhere near as big and bulky as the bodybuilder, probably not as shredded. But here's what the athlete has that the bodybuilder doesn't, and that is a powerful engine because the athlete's trained for strength and he's also trained for speed and explosive power. So in a drag race, bodybuilder versus athlete, the bodybuilder is getting absolutely smoked. And to train like an athlete, it really just entails doing your big compound lifts in the gym. So think squats, deadlifts, OHPs, and exercises of that nature. It also means doing explosive movements. So think sprints, box jumps, kettlebell swings, and so on. Training like an athlete will have you moving like a high performance sports car. The reason why training like an athlete builds functional strength is because it has you doing exercises that you would essentially do in the real world. So, for example purposes, let's take the farmer's walk. For those that don't know, the farmer's walk is basically an exercise that has you walking with a weight in each hand. Well, guess what that mimics in the real world? You walking with groceries in each hand. Another example is the squat. If you actually look at the squatting movement, it is basically somebody just sitting down and getting back up. The deadlift is another example. You are simply picking something up off the floor. So can you see how these exercises build functional strength? Without a shadow of a doubt, training like an athlete will develop mental toughness. And you want to know why? Because this style of training is not easy. It requires you to push yourself, it requires you to train with intensity. And if you do this for days, months, years, and decades, it is going to callous your mind. It is going to make you mentally stronger. And of course, this can have a knock on effect in other areas of your life. Because, for example purposes, I'm yet to find a job that is completely stress free. Unlike bodybuilding, athletic training prioritizes stability work and mobility work. And this is just about keeping the body in tip top condition. It's about making the body less injury prone. And for those that don't know, stability work are basically exercises that have you strengthening the smaller muscles. So these are the muscles that support your joints, that support your spine, and that support your posture. And the best way to train this is to do single limb exercises. So that basically means one arm or one leg exercises. So, for example, rather than doing a two-legged deadlift, you would go on one leg and do a single leg RDL instead. The minute you go on one leg, and you have to start balancing your smaller muscles and your stabilizer muscles start working over time. The same can be said for the upper body. If you want to work, let's say for example, shoulder stability, rather than pressing with a barbell, you would press with a dumbbell or a kettlebell. Now, let's talk mobility work because mobility work is super important. Mobility work is essentially exercises or movements that keep you supple and young. And if you do this on a daily basis, you'll probably be the guy who's 50, 60, 70 years old, still going to the gym. So, yes, while the goal of training like an athlete is to get stronger and move efficiently, what you'll actually tend to find, though, as a nice little side effect, is that it actually builds a very aesthetic physique. So, we're talking lean and moderately muscular. And in my opinion, of course, I actually think this type of physique looks better than a bodybuilder. It actually looks more natural. And if you want a visual representation of what this body looks like, look at the physique of a sprinter.